CCIE Routing Switching version 5 video trainings. Now, let me just introduce myself. I'm Sikandar Gauss-Moinuddin. I'm certified in CCIE Routing Switching and Service Provider. And this is my website. Now, probably in this video trainings, I'm going to cover all the topics which going to be tested in your CCIE Routing Switching exams. So let me just quickly give some overview on what we are going to see in this series. In the complete series will cover the topics, but here I'm going to just explain you what are the topics we are going to learn. So we'll start with some basic information on CCIE exams, or what are the exams we need to have, and then what are the prerequisites for these examinations, and some policies, and then some of the contents, what are the contents covered in the CCIE exams, and then finally some of the basic information on how to set up the lab, what are the prerequisites for setting up the lab, and what are the different alternative options you can look if you don't want to set up the lab. So first let us start up with some information on CCIE exam information. If you want to go for CCIE, you need to pass two mandatory exams. That is, first one is written exam, which is a prerequisite exam for your CCIE lab. So the first thing, you have to go for written exam, and there is no formal prerequisite for CCIE written exam, which means you should not, it is not mandatory that you should be a CCNA, CCNP certified, not compulsory. You can directly write CCIE written exam without any of the CCNA or CCNP certifications. So if you're already certified in any one of these exams, you can use the same Cisco ID to register for your exams, but that's something you can do, but not compulsory. So candidate has to pass this written exam before he actually appears or before he actually book his lab exam. Now the CCIE lab exam is a complete 8 hours exam, and to appear for this exam, the written is mandatory, the 2-hour written exam. Okay, so in this lab exam, you are going to be tested completely on the actual equipment, where you are going to do the complete configuration and also some troubleshooting things. So let's get into more in detail about these examinations. Let us start with first written exam. Now the current code for CCIE written exam is your 400-101, and it's a CCIE Routing Switching version 5 written exams. And the duration for this examination will be 120 minutes, which you have somewhere around 90 to 110 questions. It's available in English language, and you can register at any authorized Pearson VUE testing center. You can visit the VUE website, and you can locate the nearest possible center to register for these exams. And as of now, the price for this examination is $400 US. Now, if you want to get into some more information, you can click on this link. You can go to this link where you'll find some more detailed information about these examinations. And coming back to the next exam we have, so once you pass your written exam, you will be eligible to book your lab exam. And the duration, since once you pass your written exam, you have to ensure that you make at least one attempt of your CCIE lab exam within 18 months. So this written is valid for the next 18 months of your from the date you write your written exam till your first attempt of the lab exam. Okay, and this 18 months is the validity. Now in case of lab exam, you have 3 different sections. So once you pass your written exam, you are eligible to book your lab exam. It's an 8-hour lab exam which will be tested completely on the real devices on a lab based environment, and the cost for this examination is $1,600 per attempt. It's a web based delivery exam where the complete examination is documented in the base of web program, where you will be accessing all the devices, and it's a computer based exam here. It has complete 3 sections. You have troubleshooting section. Troubleshooting section is more similar to the previous version if you have already idea about the version 4. Now in case of troubleshooting section, a 2 hours exam where you will be tested on some questions. You will be given some scenario, and based on that scenario you have to solve at least 10 plus questions. Probably somewhere around 10 questions will be given to you, and you have to score. You have to ensure that whatever the requirement given to you, let's say there is a computer here is not able to access the other computer, you have some routers in between, and you might be using some different protocols. You have to ensure that these two devices or two routers should be able to ping with each other. So that's something what you will be finding in the troubleshooting section. And in the configuration section, you will be given, it's a find of our exams, where you will be given a step-by-step questions, task by task on each and every technology, some multiple technologies, and you have to configure according to the question and according to the scenario given to you. Okay, so these are the two major exams you have, a troubleshooting section and the configuration section. So where you will be doing majorly as per the requirement, you are doing the configurations based on the scenarios. And troubleshooting is also based on the requirement, whatever is given to you. You just need to ensure that they should work as per the requirement. Now, the complete examination will be based on the web-based delivery program. And if you are aware of the version 4 previous version exams, the major difference between the version 4 to version 5, the contents, there is a change in the contents. Apart from that, in the version 4 you have a troubleshooting section which was tested on the virtual devices, and the configuration section was tested on the real devices. Now this is on the virtual based program. Now the major difference between the version 4 and version 5 is still you have the same T-shoot section and the configuration section. So now both are based on the virtual based environment here. So even your configuration section is tested in your virtual environment, which will be used throughout the exam, which will which supports some more bigger and realistic topologies that can improve the reliability of the test. So that's the main focus here. And apart from that, you have one more section called diagnostic section, which is added in your new version of the CCIE exam. So let's get into more in detail on this. We have 3 sections. Troubleshooting section, which will be 2 hours or more than that, depends. And the configuration section is 5.5 hours. And the diagnostic section will be 30 minutes. So which means this will be 2 hours and this will be 30 minutes. We can say 30 minutes. So the remaining configuration section will be 5.5 hours, 5 hours, 30 minutes. Now there is one major change in the new version is, like in the version 4, you have a troubleshooting section which will be 2 hours and the configuration section was 6 hours. Now in the troubleshooting section, you can get additional 30 minutes if you want. If you want to extend, let's say I'm working on some questions, so maybe I'm not 100% done. So I'm just done with 80% of the troubleshooting section in the given 2 hours, and I need some extra time. So you can use some extra 30 minutes. You can get some extra 30 minutes for troubleshooting section, which means in the troubleshooting section you have a minimum 2 hours of time. That's something you can utilize, and additionally you can use 30 minutes extra, but that 30 minutes will be directed from your configuration section. So which means the entire duration for the exam will be, if you're taking the 30 minutes, so it will be 2.5 hours for your troubleshooting section and 30 minutes for this diagnostic section, and the 5 hours will be for your configuration section. So if you're not using 30 minutes here, so you can utilize that 30 minutes in the configuration section. But this is a default time, so before you exit you will be prompted whether you want to extend or not. If you say no, in that case you can use those 30 minutes in the configuration section. If you say yes, you can use those 30 minutes in your troubleshooting section. So depending upon the requirement, you can use those 30 minutes either in the troubleshooting or the configuration section. But the complete duration of the lab exam will be 8 hours fixed, and this is also fixed 30 minutes duration here. Now let's try to get into more in detail on what exactly a diagnostic section is going to cover. Now in case of diagnostic section, you don't have access to any device. So which means you're not getting into command line of any of the device like you do in the troubleshooting section. You have to access the devices, and also you do on the configuration section, but here you don't have any device here. So the major intention here is to analyze, correlate, and multiple sources of documentation. So in the diagnostic section, you are tested on the skills of analyzing, correlating multiple sources of documentation, such as you'll be given some email information, email threads, network topology diagrams, some of the console outputs, syslog messages, and even packet captures. So these are the different source outputs which will be given to you. And based on that screenshots or the outputs, you need to figure out some of the things like what is the root cause for the issue. Now, based on the output given to you, either you may be asked to find the root cause of the issue, or you may be asked where the problem exactly is, where the issue is in the diagram, on which router or which interface, something like that. Or it can be asked like what is the critical piece of information leading to the root cause, identifying the root cause, which means you're identifying the root cause based on what information in the output. Okay, so something like that. Or it can be what piece of information is missing to make a judgment about the root cause. So like these are all different types of questions you will be asked or prompted in the diagnostic section. So you are going to answer them as per the given scenarios or the given screenshots, we can say. But you are not going to access any device in this diagnostic section, and the duration for this examination will be 30 minutes. Now, the next thing we need to know the conditions to pass your CCIE lab exam. In order to pass your CCIE lab exam, there are two major conditions you have to meet before you will be declared as a pass. Now, in that, the first condition is the overall lab exam score. So let's take an example. I'm saying that the overall lab exam score, you have to score overall, let's say there is 80 points you need to get out of 100 points in order to pass your CCIE exam. That is the overall score. And then you also have a minimum score in each and every module. The score achieved in each module should exceed the minimum score. So let's say the minimum scoring in each and every module is 75, or let's make it as 65. Just roughly I'm saying, let's assume that there is a 70 points in each and every module. You got your troubleshooting section, you got your diagnostic section, and you got some configuration section. So the minimum score, let's say if I'm saying 70 points, and the overall score should be overall score should be more than 80 points. So which means let's take an example. I'm getting a score of 85 in the troubleshooting section, 85 points, and maybe I'm getting some 85 points here, and probably on the next section I'm scoring just 60 points. So the overall, if I calculate here, let's say if I'm scoring 100% here, let's say in the diagnostic section, and 60% in the config section. So the overall it will be 85, 100, and then 60. So it's going to be 160, 180, 180, 245. So even though you are scoring above 80 points or 80% as per the overall score, but if you are not scoring a minimum score, if any one of the section has a less than minimum score, in that case you will be declared as a fail. So you have to ensure that you get at least a minimum score more than in each and every section, and the overall also should be more than whatever is given here. So these are the two conditions must match. That is something based on this, the grading, your examination, these are the different conditions you have to it has to be satisfied. Now let me just quickly summarize. In the troubleshooting section you get 120 minutes, optional 30 minutes, independent incidents. Now the incidents or each and every ticket is independent with each other, so it has no relation. You can solve any question in any order, it's up to you. Okay, so again you will be given access to the virtual devices. Okay, so the skills tested majorly into troubleshooting skills will be tested in this section here. And then in case of diagnosis section, there is no optional time here, and the questions are independent with each other, and you don't have access to any of the device in the diagnosis section. And you'll be given some multiple sorts of documentations like emails, diagrams, console messages or syslog messages, those kind of information, or packet capture information. And in case of configuration section, you have something like 5.5 hours, that is 3 hours 30, that is 330 minutes. Optionally, if you are using the 30 minutes here, in that case it will be deducted from the configuration section. So each and every question is dependent with each other, so they are all dependent on each other. And again here also you will be accessing some virtual devices in this section as well. Now there are a few other things we'll be covering in this video here. The validity of your examination. Now once you get certified for CCIE, your certification will be valid for the next 2 years. So in order to maintain this active status, you have to write any one of these exams for every 24 months. That is 2 years. So either you have to pass the written exam or any other lab exam. So let's say I'm done with my CCIE routing switching, let's say this year, 2000, in case 2015. In that case, this is valid for up to 2017. So if you are passing any other CCIE exam within this period, let's say I have passed my CCIE service pod or any other track in the next year, maybe in 2017 or before this, your validity extends for the next 2 years. So which means the validity is now till 2019, the next 2 years, 2 plus 2, like that. Or if you want to extend the validity, if you're not planning for any other CCIE track, in that case, you can write again CCIE routing switching written exam, and that written exam again extend your validity for the next 2 years. Okay, so either you can pass here the existing written exam which you already cleared, or another CCIE. So both are going to extend your CCIE status. Okay, so make sure that you're using the same ID number each time you book your exams, and your certification will be suspended if you or your employer will lose the benefits of the associated expert status if you don't do that. So you have 1 year grace period or reinstate period where your certification will be referred as inactive, which means you have 2 years of time, and next 1 year will be inactive status. So which means after 3 years you cannot recertify again. So that is your inactive state, we can say. So if you do anything after 3 years, you have to start the overall process again from the basic again. So whenever you do CCIE certification, it is going to extend all the remaining certifications like CCNA, CCNP. So which means you can directly write CCIE written exam and then lab exam without any CCNA, CCNP certifications. Now, if you want to find some more information on this exam policies, you can visit this site, a Cisco site, where you will find all this information like what are the rules and the payment procedures, scheduling and postponing, rescheduling, all those things, the scoring and times. So double booking like this, you cannot book your same track at the same time. You cannot have 2 bookings at the same time. Like let's say I have booked my exam in the coming March. Probably before I finish this exam, I cannot book another exam. Let's say I cannot say that I'll book my exam again in June. Maybe I may not clear. You cannot do that. Once you're finished with this exam, if you have passed this exam, there's no need to book the exams anyway. But even if you fail, once you fail this exam, then only you can book the next exam for the same track. Now, according to the new CCIE exam policies, you can make a first attempt. It should be less than 18 months from the date you write your written exam, within 18 months. And the next attempt, in case if you do not clear, the next attempt should have at least minimum of 30 days gap between your first and the second attempt. And then in case if you don't clear on the second time, then the duration gap will be more than 90 days. So which means you can only book your third attempt exam. So this is, if you fail second time, you can only book your third attempt exam only after 90 days gap.